Yeah. I know, he's just.
We could all rise for the pledge, please. Rolando, could you lead us in the pledge, sir?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, our veterans, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, and those suffering from the military conflict in the Middle East. Thank you.
Here.
So, do we have any public comment tonight?
All right, Mike Sinella, 111 Willow Springs. Be as brief as I can. Got 2 requests. Let's see if we can do for 2. First one, we have a podium here for a reason. We have a microphone set up here for a reason. You guys have seen I'm doing my best to get everybody so that the viewers at home can hear everything clearly and see everything clearly. So for everybody that's going to be making a presentation, that's going to be addressing the joint budget hearing, please do so from in front of the podium and in front of the microphone. I can only do so much. And I will do my best if people do step away or need more space. But as the folks at home are going to find out in just a second here when I do this, if you're going to come 6 feet over here, it's going to be real hard for people to hear you. And on the video record if people want to watch this after the fact. So that's request 1. Please to stand in front of the podium. So request 2. These are joint budget hearings. Can we please stay on topic? Some of us aren't paid by the hour to be here. I think a lot of the people right behind me are not paid by the hour to be here. I understand that some of this stuff is going to come under intense scrutiny. Great, do that. But please stick to the actual budget itself. Thank you.
You're here.
Nice job, Mike.
You're here.
Okay, any other? Okay.
Hey, welcome.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome
So,
back.
Rolando?
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. First up tonight is the land use budgets. So, what's that? Oh, senior center?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Senior.
All right.
Jasmine,
Talk about aging.
I am.
They didn't look like they were ready to switch places.
Walter, can you open up the meeting for the Board of Finance?
Call the Board of Finance back to order.
And thank you, Town Council.
Where is it? I
All
can't
right. Next, senior center.
see. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Okay, give the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, everyone.
is it 160?
30 and 160.
Thank you.
Okay, close enough.
Jasmine, we say we want you to be quick. We make it really quick.
All right.
So quick you don't notice.
Huh?
How's that?
Mavian?
There you are.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor, Town Council, Board of Finance, and the New Milford community. My name is Jasmine DeCusinhara, Director of the New Milford Senior Center, and I thank you for the opportunity to present the 2024-2025 budget on behalf of the New Milford Senior Center and the Commission on Aging. In addition to this PowerPoint presentation, I just wanted to pass along to you all a printed copy of our March 2024 newsletter, just to give you a snapshot of our town senior center. And for those of you who are tuning in from home or within this room, these newsletters are also available on the Town of New Milford website. So as you are aware, the senior population is one of the fastest growing populations in New Milford, and we are honored that we are able to serve more than half of this population through the services and resources that the senior center has to offer. So this slide begins our expenditures, the bulk of which covers personnel. Our staff currently consists of myself, Jeanette, our program coordinator, assistant director, Kim, our office coordinator, 13B clerical personnel, Tom and Aaron, our 2 senior center bus operators, Sue and Rufus, our per diem substitute bus operators, John, our part-time chore services coordinator, and Marissa and RJ, our municipal agents, which are Connecticut state mandated positions to ensure that every town have advocates for the elderly, to provide information and referrals in federal, state, and local benefits and entitlement. Budgeted also in this personnel line is our part-time seasonal office coordinator to assist our municipal agents during our busy seasons. And also on this slide is a request for capital, which for furniture replacement due to high volume use and furniture that is more cleaning friendly, if you will. And I would also like to note that though we have a small staff, we are able to provide the caliber of quality service through the help of our many volunteers, ranging from our Commission on Aging, our chore service volunteers, who help to provide services needed to help ensure safety and security of our seniors to age in place in their homes, as well as our many program-based volunteers who range in assisting with our congregate meals, our Meals on Wheels drivers, and our Wheels volunteers who help provide rides to non-emergency medical appointments in the New Milford area. And of course, all of our volunteers that help out with our program and activities that provide enrichment and inspiration. Continuing with our expenditures is the breakdown of the following accounts. Our contractual account, which encompasses the web services of the Senior Center database, My Senior Center, and inclusion in the regional resource website, AgeWell CT, and also allocations towards our health and wellness screenings, programs and activities, and the local funding contribution requested of municipalities towards the Meals on Wheels program, which is our home-delivered meals for homebound residents. Our materials and supplies for educational, social, and rec programs, as well as general office supplies and equipment and professional development, and our materials and supplies self-sustaining, which is for our fee-based programs and activities such as our special interest or exercise classes, and also for miscellaneous repairs of our senior buses under the 13B transportation grant. And last but not least is our congregate lunches, which under Title III of the Older Americans Act serves to provide congregate meal services under the Elderly Nutrition Program. Our senior center has actually seen a big change this week as we welcomed in our new food provider, CNC Delicatessen of New Milford. We had a bit of a soft opening this week, and needless to say, they have made a great first impression of what they can bring to the table, literally. And we look forward to carrying on this partnership and providing this great service to our senior community by providing not only healthy and nutritious meals, but also the opportunity to explore different food options as well. All right. And looking to our revenue, we're very fortunate to have grants that help offset some of our expenditures of our senior center. Primarily, our COA revenue allows payroll offset for our bus operators, as well as additional funds for repairs and maintenance. All of these come from the Connecticut DOT's 13B transportation grant, and the expected reimbursement from the 5310 senior bus grant to purchase a new wheelchair accessible bus, because the senior center currently has 2 regularly operating buses and 1 spare. And in addition, we also have the Western Connecticut Area Agency on Aging Grant, WCAAA, and that helps to offset the payroll for our chore services coordinator. And the remaining of the revenue is from the anticipated contributions to our fee-based programs and activities, as well as our bus service, and of course, the congregate lunch revenue with the Elderly Nutrition Program. So overall, the mission of the New Milford Senior Center is to coordinate and foster programs promoting the health and wellness, social recreation, education, welfare, and independence of our seniors through a broad spectrum of services and activities. And with that, we continue to identify and support opportunities to help our senior community stay engaged and healthy. We're happy to continue to offer this wide array of programs, activities, and services that provide opportunities socially, recreationally, educationally, and of course to enhance our health and wellness. We're even more excited to note that we've continued to pursue our initiative of being a senior center beyond 4 walls. So for example, of expanding our programming off-site, such as we have a Movers and Shakers Club and a walkie-talkie walking group, which welcomes our folks to take part in outdoor recreation and even have the opportunity to be welcomed and connect with other area senior centers. So New Milford actually has a traveling Wii bowling team and also a cornhole team, which we are the current champions against New Fairfield Senior Center. And as a side note, we are actually hosting the rematch game against New Fairfield on our home turf. So Thursday, March 21st at 1 o'clock, if you'd like to cheer on the New Milford cornhole team, please please join us in our grand room. And also, we are offering programs and activities outside of our 8 to 4 hours, such as a Zumba Gold exercise class and special weekend programming in which we do offer transportation as well. So in sum, we're very proud that we're able to offer all of this to our senior community, because as we're able to bring excellence in service between all of the resources we provide at the senior center, we can easily say that we welcome and interact with at least 100 seniors each day, either through our doors, on our bus, or utilizing our services. And with each week, we're welcoming more and more new members and getting them connected with all that the senior center has to offer. So from all of us at the Senior Center, New Milford Senior Center, and the Commission on Aging, we thank you for your time and for the opportunity to present this new fiscal year's budget. Any questions?
Jasmine, first,
Yes.
kind of going back a little bit.
Sure.
Obviously, one of the most vulnerable cohorts that we did have during COVID was our elderly.
Absolutely.
And I know at certain points, we had to actually shut down the senior center, but then pivot back with new programming. Also during COVID, I spoke about this a little bit, we segmented some of the parks, especially Clatter Valley, to make sure that our residents had the ability to get out,
Yes.
especially our seniors, in a safe environment. We also gave the senior center funding through American Relief to help those most vulnerable seniors. Can you talk a little bit about the American Relief funds that were given to you with the approval of the Town Council, Board of Finance, and a town meeting?
Absolutely. So the Senior Center has been very grateful to receive a portion of the ARPA funds that were designated for the town of New Milford for senior center use. So we have two kind of lines of which we have been utilizing using these funds, one of which is for financial need. So we've created a application that is actually mirrored to social services application for our senior residents who have had an effect of COVID that we were able to help them out with a financial request. So we've been able to help out some of our folks with taking care of back rent when they were out of work, for if they had become ill because of COVID or as a result of COVID having to care for a family member, helping take care of those types of needs, of some medical bills, all of which they have to complete an application for, and also notate what their sustainability plan is. A lot of which our seniors have been able to work with our municipal agents to help them see that there are maybe other programs that they may be eligible for. So to help kind of offset the financial burden on one piece, we've been able to help provide other avenues to, can carry on and to help them further on with their situation. But also, in addition to that, we've also had some programs that we've been able to offset using these funds that would help with the post-COVID recovery efforts, specifically in mental wellness and uplift. So we've been able to offer some exercise classes to help with really the lack of movement, if you will. There is a lot of deconditioning that we've seen among our seniors, so we've been able to offer a Tai Chi class, we've been able to offer different movement classes, and one that we're very excited that we've been able to fund with these ARPA dollars is a program called Tech Savvy Seniors. So this, as we all remember, we all learned very quickly how to be technologically savvy during the pandemic. And with that, we have been able to hire an instructor to come in, and she's been teaching regularly how to operate your iPhone, how to operate your devices, so that they could remain connected, and so that they can also utilize the technology at hand to do things like go shopping or schedule a doctor's appointment. So things that they're able to carry on and just continue to enrich their being.
And then, continuing on that, Jasmine, when we help those seniors financially, those that, through COVID, maybe a job loss, maybe a spouse, as we all age, unfortunately, may not be able to work, going from 2 incomes down to 1 income.
Sure.
How has that been, as you see it, using those funds to help our seniors? How has that been?
So, we've been grateful that we've had this availability to us because, as you all may be well aware, a lot of our senior population does function on a fixed income. So when those incomes, especially if there is a loss of a partner or someone else in the household, how greatly that can affect their life in all the little aspects of, food insecurity and of just feeling of even self-worth. So through these funds, we've been able to offset that, and then furthermore, as they are connected now with the senior center, be able to provide them other avenues of where we can be helpful for them. So for example, our food program, we have our lunch program that's able to help offset a food insecurity need. Our meals provide 1/3 of the dietary allotment for the, recommended dietary allotment for the day. Our transportation services as well. So we've seen that many of our folks have transportation needs, whether it be for safety, for financial reasons, or even just even ability levels. We have our bus service that we've been able to introduce them to and direct them to through the use of this grant.
And Jasmine, what happens if you didn't have those funds? What would have happened?
So, Mayor, unfortunately, we would have been scrambling, and these folks, a lot of times, it's hard to tell people that we have nothing else for you, but it really we have seen a lot of success stories out of these requests that we have, and because they have to note and they have to work with us on what their sustainability plan is, we've ensured that they're able to have a plan in place so that though we are helping for this one-time benefit, it's not just money into a pit and then that's it. And then we'll be seeing them again for something else a couple weeks or months down the road.
It helps them on a path of self-sustainability.
Absolutely.
Which then also helps in so many other ways. Someone being self-sustainable then isn't going to go back and want to be on or need all the other assistance programs.
Absolutely.
So I commend you, and I commend our agents for seeing those and really working through those. And it's been, as you've told me at our weekly meetings, a life-changing investment in a lot of our seniors.
Absolutely, Mayor.
Katie?
Thanks, Jasmine. The chore services.
Sure.
How are you doing for volunteers there?
We are always looking for new volunteers.
So how many have you got?
So we currently have, we actually just did our grant, so we have active right now 6 to 8 volunteers that we have currently vetted in with the town. So that's part of it too, that all of our volunteers that work for, or that volunteer for our chore services have to be background checked. They go through our personnel department to make sure that they're clean, because we are essentially sending these folks into people's homes. But we are always in search of more volunteers. Our chore service program, our coordinator right now, John, it's a 19-and-a-half-hour position, and that is only able to be extended more through the help of more volunteers.
So you have people who, you have a need for more.
Always.
Okay, that's good. Thanks. Keep
Any
up the good work.
questions, Tom?
Yeah, just a quick question on the revenue side.
Sure.
I noticed that you're just a little bit down from the year before, 1450. Is that attributable to something that is not coming in anymore, a grant, or? I noticed Commission on Aging, is this correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just on the revenue page. And it showed revenues last year of like 213, 148, and I think we're expressing 211. I mean, it's not alarming, I just wasn't sure why.
I could look into that for you, but it should
Yeah.
be the chore. So it's the chore grant. Thank you. So because how the chore service. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Alexandra. So the chore services grant, we are allotted this grant based on the units of service. So they tell us what what we're going to be getting.
Okay, that's all, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
That's
no,
normally the
thank you.
case. Yeah, it's normally not your control.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, no, I'm good with everything else.
Any other questions for Jasmine?
One more.
Great job.
Katie?
So I know you deal with about 100 every day or so. How many seniors are actually signed up with you at the senior center?
So we see almost a little over 4,000.
That's how many are signed
That's how
up?
many are signed up within our senior center.
Okay, and how many seniors reside in the town?
So seniors that reside in the town,
It's a little bit higher number.
it is, yep.
Yeah.
So actually, if you take a look at
70.
these numbers, we are looking at, there's a little over, almost like 7,000?
Yes.
Over 7,000 seniors that reside in the town of New Milford. When we broke down these figures, the good chunk of, so our seniors population, we start at 60 plus.
Right.
The majority of that population is the 60 to 70-year-olds, a lot of which are still working.
Right.
So that is, we realize that is potentially why we don't have that grand of a numbers, because we do have a lot of our senior folks who still work and have not yet.
I gotta get out of that number
That's-
right now. I really, I can't get into that number.
Sorry.
Do you have a newsletter?
So,
Some of us are not ready for this.
There.
so Jasmine,
Yes.
how do you go about contacting those that are not already, those that are not out and about working and wouldn't necessarily be coming over there, but the rest of them, how do you reach out to those people? Because remember, we talked about the ambassador program, and I was
Sure.
told you have a peer-to-peer system. So how does that work?
So we are proud to say that we are very active with being able to connect on other levels, just as more so than just in person. We try to have a very strong social media presence. We're out there in the community, so at least we're visible to the folks of the world.
Does
But
this only go to the people that are signed up with you?
that does not. If they've signed up for our newsletter, they're also we send that out also via email.
How would
And,
I sign up for the newsletter?
So you can sign up by registering with us at the senior center.
But I don't
either-
go there.
You don't go there? You can call us, you can email
No,
us.
I
you
mean,
can-
I'm not talking about me personally, but you know what I mean. So I'm not a social media person. I'm
Okay.
a 75-year-old person, maybe a couple, and we don't have any reason to be active on social media, but yet we live here, and you can identify those people easily through by several different ways. How do you ever mail anything?
Oh, yes. So this is all mailed out still as well.
But
So-
to somebody who doesn't already exist on your list?
So what we offer to everybody is they are welcome to connect with us. We're also trying to keep ourselves very visible out on
Okay,
in
so
the community.
I guess what I'm getting at is you don't mail to people who are not coming to you first.
So we do that. So because the town postage is the one that covers our mailing. So we try to cover that by sending out through email. It's also available on our town website.
Right.
We also
I'm not
have
talking
this
about that.
around.
I'm talking about snail mail.
Sure.
The way you reach people who don't go online.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a way for you to find out, you can get that information, where they live, what their name is. It's very easy. And I just think that some of those people, which during COVID, I think we identified people who really they had no idea, and they should have been involved, and they could be involved. And I just wonder if you might not look into pulling those names. You can get them from the registrar of voters. There's a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And you can cull through them and take out the people you already know. But a piece of snail mail, there's several people that I know who have absolutely no touch with anything electronic. And if it wasn't for that, snail mail, somebody at this table wouldn't be able to get his agendas if they weren't mailed. So, right, Walter? So I think that's something that I
can
would like.
definitely- absolutely. So we can
I would
definitely look
like
into
to
that.
see that. I've asked before, and I think there are people out there who would like to hear from you who might not understand how easy it is to get involved in all this fun.
Sure.
So could you possibly tell me that you might do that?
Absolutely, Katie.
Thank you,
Any
Jasmine.
questions? Alex?
I am signed up.
I know.
Right, Jasmine?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
I'll be down there.
Alex?
I really like that idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it in your budget to do so?
So I will let you know that the town actually fronts the postage bill on all of our town newsletters. So that is outside of our budget. That
There's
is
another way I can
yeah.
tell you about that will cost the town very little, and you'll hit all kinds of people, right?
All right,
Yeah.
here we go.
Through the
We can
post
definitely
office.
look into that.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll tell you all about it. It's
All right,
very-
thank you.
You're
So
very
We're
welcome.
always happy to reach more folks, and
I thought so.
Little plug, save the date for Saturday, May the 18th. We are having a Senior Center Community Connections Open House. We're opening up the Senior Center on a Saturday, so that we're inviting all of our local community partners to be a part of this, so that they can meet and greet all of the different businesses and entities we have here in town. We are going to be sending out our invites to all of those program community partners, and also the Senior Center will all be there, so that all the folks of the world welcome to come through. They can have a little bite to eat, and then visualize the senior center up and running in a non-threatening,
you go.
welcoming
Right.
atmosphere.
Any other questions for Jasmine? Thank you, Jasmine.
Thanks,
Thank you all very
And
much.
thank you for the team.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and Jeanette, thank you.
Next is our land use. First will be revenues,
Yeah.
16.
Yep.
or depending on the presentation, but revenues are on page 16.
Of course, you can't go backwards. Okay. All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Town Council, members of the Board of Finance, and the general public. My name is James Frillo. With me is Laura Regan tonight. We are the front faces of the Land Use Commission. Evidently, I'm going to need to hire Jasmine as my staff writer next year for our presentation here. Ours is not nearly as eloquent, but just to give you an idea of what land use is here, we have 5 separate commissions. We have the Aquifer Protection Commission, which is combined with the Inland Wetlands Agency. There's planning, there's the Zoning Board of Appeals, and zoning. So it's 5 separate commissions with 5 separate groups of people. We have about, I think it's 31 different people on the different commissions that we have that we need to serve, and make sure that we meet all the agendas and motions and all the requirements pursuant to state statute that we have to follow up on. We have 4 personnel that work for us right now, and I'm not going to go into titles because some of them are like hers, it's like 20 minutes long. Just to give you a quick rundown of where we are right now, our 2023 to 2024 budget was $387,506. Our 2024-2025 proposed budget is $445,386. We will get into what the difference is in what these numbers specifically represent in about a minute or two. Breaking our land use budget, we're going to go in not necessarily the revenue side first. We'll get to revenues in a minute. We're going to go to the expenditure side first. Personnel obviously is our highest.
108 for your expenditures.
Thank you. So personnel is our largest expenditure. We have a CEO, town planner, a wetlands enforcement officer, an assistant land use enforcement officer, a land use administrator, 5 separate recording secretary, and on the docket is a proposed new part-time land use compliance officer. Laura will get into that in a few minutes. Our overtime nutmeg being the union, overtime is about $1,000. Our consultants that we do not get reimbursed for, we're looking for $25,000 on that. Contractual self-sustaining, this is the group that gets paid back to us. So we pay it up front, but we get reimbursed for these things. We're looking at $30,000. Legal notices is about $8,000 for the 5 separate commissions, and legal notices still are required to go into newspapers. And then our materials and supplies is about $5,000. Do you want me to go through what the changes are, or do you want to?
No, we can keep going, because then now we're into the revenue.
Okay, let's do revenue.
Revenue will go back to page 16.
This is the total revenue that we generate for all of the land use boards and commissions. So you have your zoning permit and application fees at $70,000, ZBA applications at $3,000. The zoning engineering review fees, this is the 20 of that $30,000 self-sustaining expense account you just heard Jim explain. Planning subdivision application fees, $1,000, wetland permit and application fees, $18,000, and then you have the other remaining $10,000 of that $30,000, that's the self-sustaining account there. So for a total revenue of $122,000. So then this is where I talk a little bit about the increase. So the increase that you're seeing in the budget is primarily attributed to the addition of a part-time land use compliance officer to better serve the community. This staff member will assist in reviewing permit applications, performing site inspections, addressing citizen concerns and complaints, and responding to increasing inquiries and requests. Land use, oh, there's a typo there, sorry, does not offer programs or events. Personnel is our greatest resource. And I have a few other just talking points to kind of support the addition of this position, but the consolidation of the land use departments happened gradually over several years, and for a while it was efficient and sustainable. But with the turnaround in the real estate market and development industry and new land use laws that have become effective over the last few years, we are taking on more responsibility with less man hours, and our level of service is not where we want it to be or where our community or commissions that we serve deserve or expect it to be. I personally am no longer treading water, I'm drowning. So, and I don't see things changing anytime soon. New Milford is continuing to see growth and demand. A couple other trends that contribute to this is what I call the Amazon effect. People are expecting their permits to be issued, complaints addressed, everything to be resolved in that 2-day window. And it's just not realistic. We're still the ones doing all of the work. And there's also an increasing number of people without, this is just another trend we're seeing, an increasing number of people without the land use development experience or kind of trying their hand at real estate development. So we're not seeing your typical engineers and surveyors and architects. So there's a learning curve, and we're having a lot more meetings. It's a lot longer, and then even applications are taking longer to review. An unfortunate trend is the asking for forgiveness rather than permission. We're seeing that a lot more and more. So that's just, again, takes longer to handle all of that. And in general, our duties just have become more challenging and take longer. And I'm sure all of you know we're the largest town land area, but if you kind of look at that from a different lens, that means our 4 land use staff are responsible for more land in this state than any other. So we just need the additional support to keep that level of service where our community expects.
Any questions for Laura or for Jim?
I have some question. Have you hired somebody for that position?
No.
Do you think you'll have a hard time finding someone?
Part-time might make it a little more challenging, and we do want someone to come in with experience, is what we're hoping.
Yeah.
So on the positive side, we're maybe thinking we're going to get somebody who's maybe older, looking to step back a little bit, who would be looking for the part-time position. We also hope it is something that's going to grow. Our staff is getting older, so I do know we're going to have to start thinking about our succession planning, because there is a steep learning curve. We've had 1 turnover recently in our staff, and I'm realizing it takes a long time to get people up to speed. So,
Well, good luck.
Alex?
Thank you.
yeah.
What do you do as your job? Because I feel like you do everything.
I feel like that sometimes too.
Yeah. I just don't know how you do it. So can
Lots
you
of nights and
just-
weekends. Primarily, I would say the biggest time-consuming function is staff to the zoning commission. I do all of their reviews. I do all the referrals. I write all of their approvals. When I had more time, I was writing on more regulations. I also help with all of the people before the applications get in front of the commissions. I'm meeting with all the people. When a property goes up for sale, a lot of times I'm fielding a dozen phone calls of people that are interested in potentially buying that. What can they do with it? So it's a lot of those meetings. Fielding complaints. And my support staff does a lot more of the permitting for the pools, sheds, decks, smaller projects. And this is just my daily duties. I also, if there is, I actually didn't get to my last slide here. Planning, as Paul can speak to, there haven't been a lot of subdivisions, but when, one of those hits, then, our focus shifts. But this kind of can just show you the trend that we're seeing.
Okay, so that would explain your revenue being flat.
Yes,
Okay.
because it's
that was
a lot more time doing the behind the scenes. In wetlands and zoning, we're the first step in the permitting process, so we get them when they're really green.
Got it. It's just, that was my next question about the revenue being flat. Okay.
Revenue is a very difficult thing to guess. You'll see that some of this revenue is all over the board. Now, if we have Canterbury School do another $5 million project and bring that before the commission, then your building fees and your zoning fees go up tremendously. The hospital comes in with a $10 million budget or something like that. That's different. You're not going to see that every year. We've got a lot of smaller, a couple $1 million projects, et cetera, but it's very difficult to figure out exactly what our input is. Some years we are in excess of that, and some years we are short of that. So it's a guesstimate of what we're seeing and the trends we're looking at. The increase in increase that is in the loans, the interest rates and things like that, put a little bit of hold on certain things, but also makes a lot of more do-it-yourselfers come in before us that are not necessarily so well versed in going through the process. So we end up spending a lot of time doing education or as the old guard developers are retiring out, we've got new people joining the ranks. And again, there's a learning curve associated with that to bring them in. We do meet with people, but we also get a lot of requests now where a lot of different realtors and things like that used to come in and take a look at the records. Now it's a phone call and can I have it this afternoon? That's not necessarily an easy thing to do. There are some of our files that are, an entire file drawer, and it's like, you've got to come in and look at this yourself. That's hours worth of work that you've got to do. But, a lot of people are looking into, well, where's our quick fix? Or they're in the Midwest, because that's where they're doing their research from. So these are all things that take time from us that we have to deal with at a full-scale staff level. So, unfortunately, that's not the way it works. We are here to try and help the general public. It is to the benefit of the town that we follow these regulations. From the environmental perspective, from the growth perspective, from the community perspective, these are all different things that are a benefit to the town. And these are services that we try to offer that benefit to all of the people in this town.
Any other questions for Alex?
So, the land use supervisor and zoning enforcement officer and town planner is all you?
That's just a couple of my titles, yep.
Got it. And, your credentials, like?
I have a master's in urban and regional. I have a degree in environmental science and a master's in urban and regional planning.
I think someone else should run the office and you should be the town planner myself. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Laura, can I have the comments you gave that were not on the screen?
Sal?
Can I email them to you? Sure. Thank you, because they're kind of all scribbled on.
With all the things that you just described in terms of people calling everything, could that be like automated in a database? Because some of the things that you mentioned shouldn't be just you picking up the phone explaining. It should be online somewhere, and they go and research themselves. So just give them a link or whatever that would be. I'm just curious.
All new permits are online, and people can sign them up. That's our view permit. They're all online, all of our new stuff. The problem comes up when somebody is selling off a piece of property, and their last zoning and wetlands files were 10 years ago. And so they want to know what was originally approved, what's the site plan that was associated with that, what zone is it? Or you always get a lot of the questions of, okay, we've gone through your regulations, but what really can we do on our site? So it's a lot of kicking the tires or trying to figure out what people are allowed to do.
Gotcha. I guess my question is, do you think there is a room for like automation improvement, or you cannot do anything, you have to operate that way?
We've looked at, in the past, trying to bring all of our records online underneath the thing. The expenditure of that is going to be, we'll come downstairs at some point in time and take a look at the fact that we think we have 3 file rooms between planning, wetlands, and zoning. Remember, we have to keep records on every single one of these pieces of property. Right. And they have to be kept for a very long time. Now, there's a few things we can get rid of, but our records are fairly long. It would be nice to be able to do that, but I think the expense is not something that we're looking to go forward with at this juncture.
I got my answer. Thanks so much.
Any other questions? Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you both.
Great job.
Thank you.
128.
Next is the fire marshal. Ed? Kevin is out, not feeling well today. So Ed, our assistant fire marshal, is here tonight. Thank you, Ed.
Ed, you're feeling all right tonight?
Feeling great.
All right, good.
And there's a revenue component, which is page 20, and the expenditures is 128. And we'll let Ed talk a little bit about the fire marshal's office.
Oh, once again, thank you for having me. Ed Pagan, Deputy Fire Marshal. Just to go over our budget, it's actually very simple on here. As you can see, the first page shows our current salaries from fiscal 24 to 25. As you can see, the increases will be for a union contract and for a union grade change to a 14 for my position itself. For our account, materials and supplies stay the same. Fire marshal special supplies stay the same. at $5,800. Computer software, again, at $8,000, stayed the same. Okay, thank you.
Forward, backward.
Okay. Overtime, which is predominantly used for fire investigations that are outside of our normal working hours, is at $5,500. Professional development is our training that we're required to keep up to date within the state of Connecticut of each 30 hours per year. Training, as you can see down below, 3783 is for supplies that we give out to students, we give out to schools, to fairs and everything else. With our revenues, it's currently at 70,000. It's going to stay that same. Our total budget cost for the increase would be 123. With the cost of revenue, it's actually 153. That offsets it with the 70,000.
Quick question, the smoke alarms that you give out?
Yes.
For people, is that in there?
I believe that's in there, of $1,000 is
I
in
know,
it.
I mean, you've given to me to hand out the pieces, the actual folder and the thing you can slide up and down, but that is publications, so the smoke alarms.
Smoke alarms, we've actually gotten $1,000 from the town to help give out to seniors, anybody in need for them.
Okay.
Or if we go to places that just don't have them right on the spot, we keep them in our vehicle.
So you don't have it in there?
I believe that $1,000 was put inside there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, $1,000.
Oh, thanks.
But we've also gotten grants in the past. There used to be a program through Kitty that used to give thousands away.
That's what I
That
thought,
program ended.
yeah. I didn't
So
know the
now
town
we're-
was giving it to you now. That's
Yeah.
good. No, it's a great thing that you do.
Yeah, we also give out batteries too. We have a tremendous amount of 9-volt batteries. If anybody needs them, we have a lot to give out, and that's a
And we
big
should
program.
use those every 6 months?
Every 6 months, yeah. We look at it when you change your clocks is the time when to check your batteries, also actually to swap them out and then reuse that battery for something else instead.
And Katie, on
Yes, sir.
page 129.
Yes.
Fire Marshal Special Department Supplies.
Is it
You see
there?
special equipment, including smoke detectors.
I didn't see that. Thank you, Mayor.
Um,
I missed that. But I'm glad I know now how you work. You
Ed,
think everybody changes their clocks, huh?
Ed, thank you for coming short notice
problem.
tonight. Appreciate it very much. I know you've been an integral part of this, as well as Martin as well. Getting to ARPA funds. The Fire Marshal's Office, some of the things that you guys got was new gear for yourselves.
Right.
New software for the Fire Marshal's Office, which then migrated into our fire departments. We talked a little bit about that. My question that I posed to you tonight is, how has that been helpful to your department with these American Relief Funds?
Well, the couple things you mentioned was First View. First View is a software that helps us track all our inspections. It actually helps to pre-plan. Pre-plan means when we go to a fire, myself, Fire Marshal Kevin Reynolds, and all the firefighters in town, different departments, have an idea of what they're looking at prior to arriving on scene. It's called pre-planning. Rather than coming down to a building, CMC down on Pickett District Road, not knowing what chemicals are in that building, all the information tracks it and puts it inside there. It also keeps the latest information on their last inspection, helps us keep track of it. So when we're doing all the condominium units in town, all the apartment buildings in town, year by year, we can see the progression of their inspections, if there's any issues that we helped correct with them, or any violations that we put out there. It keeps a good track record of everything going on inside the town. It also helps us keep track of any fire investigations in the town as well. It consolidates all that information into one spot. It's available on our desktop computer, on our laptop, and even on our cell phone. So at all times, we have access to it. That also ties into the fire departments because they have the same exact access we do by carrying on iPads in their vehicles and on the apparatus. So when they pull up to a scene, they click on a scene, they know the information, who the key holder is, if there's a Knox box, if there's a basement exit, if there's an apartment in the back, they know that ahead of time. They can say, there's an elderly person, perfect example, Harrybrook. We pulled up on scene the other day for a possible structure fire. We knew that there was a tenant in one of the units that was hearing impaired. First thing, make a phone call. If someone started banging on this particular door, call PD, go around, speak to neighbors. We knew right off the bat, there's one person there who's not going to hear the alarm. They may have some special things in their apartment, but their alarm system is not connected to the whole building. So we were able to make contact with them, banging on the door, spoke to them, told them everything's okay, but be aware there is a possible fire. Turns out it was just a sump pump that burned up, caused a lot of smoke, but that's what helps out ahead of time. Because as the different generations of firefighters in the town pass along, a lot of information was kept in their head. Now it's all documented. So in 15 years when I retire, all the information we're gathering now will turn out to be passed along for years to come. As far as air packs, that was a huge help for both Kevin and I. We're constantly going to these environments during the fire to help put the fire out, and we could quickly turn around and investigate the fire afterward. Our air packs were way outdated. With the funds, we were able to get new air packs with the modern technology to help keep us safe. And our radios have the capability now, the best way to put it, we can speak to pretty much anyone in this region and in the state. We can quickly speak to someone in Danbury from here. So if we're responding, or Danbury's responding to us for help, we can reach out to them quickly. With the lake, we have all access to all the 5 towns to speak to them and coordinate those activities that are going on. And in the past, we'd show up on scene, and then we could talk to each other. But now we can coordinate and listen to what's going on ahead of time. And those radios are a huge help to us. Again, the iPads, just a tremendous help. It's on the spot. In the past, we took a lot of paperwork. We do our inspection, write it all down, go back to the office, and transfer it all to a computer. Right now, we do it on the spot, and we actually have the person we're inspecting, the business we're inspecting, sign it right on the spot, and it emails it out. So the productivity of it is increasing. We're able to do more inspections at a quicker pace.
Obviously, Ed, extremely helpful.
Absolutely.
Most of this, your air packs and everything else, would have been in this year's upcoming budget. Last question I pose, and obviously, you're not the fire marshal, but for those of us that are here, let's look real quick at the department itself. You had an increase of $10,176 from year over year. The only major driver in that was personnel. So if we were to go to zero, it would only be one place we could take it out of: personnel. So, again, thank you, Walter. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
I absolutely agree with them, too.
Any questions for Ed?
Yes.
Alex? And then Mayor.
Do you have to have certain credentials or certifications to be a fire marshal in the first place?
Yeah, one, you have to have a basic experience in the fire service, a minimum 3 years in the fire service. Myself, I had over 20. Once you get accepted into a fire marshal program for the state of Connecticut, it's about 5.5 months of training, which includes code inspection and investigation of a fire. There's 2 different modules of it. After that, we have to continue education of 30 hours per year.
That's what I was
So every
gonna
3 years, we hit that clock for 90 hours and go forward.
So is that covered in this budget, or?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
And Ed, real quick too, for Fire Marshal Reynolds, I know he's not here, but I know you work with him extensively. What's his fire experience?
It's a lot similar to say, there's nothing he hasn't done. He's been a firefighter for years. He's also been every officer that's in the fire department, starting with second lieutenant, first lieutenant, up to captain, and then made his way to actually fire chief as well with the Waterwich Fire Department. So his tremendous amount of years, I'm going to say, Jim, probably well over 30 years, he's been with the fire service. Right. Tremendous. And a lot of all that part was all volunteer time that he put in.
Mayor?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you have an automobile?
Yes, they do.
Is it provided by the town?
Yes, it is.
Why isn't it in the budget?
Good. Mayor? Fabulous question. I'm glad you brought that up.
You know why?
Because here's the good news.
Okay.
So, we've been able, through American Relief Funds, to get new police cars. Those new police cars, we have SUVs, right? The older SUVs. We bring those down to Jack, who will talk a little bit about that, and the great crew from DPW. We repurpose those. The old chief's SUV is now the SUV for our assistant fire marshal. And the fire marshal, he got a brand new one last year with surplus funds.
There's no line item for automobile maintenance repair?
That actually goes through DPW maintenance.
I'll go find that.
Yeah.
You know, they do a fantastic job of maintaining our cars, oil changes, tires, wipers, all the basic stuff, and so that they take care of it completely. Prior to getting the Chief Cerrito's older vehicle, the DPW went through the vehicle completely, made sure it was worthy to be back on the road. It's actually a pretty good vehicle, and for the year that it is, it looks pretty good. I love it.
Keep loving.
Any other questions for Ed? Ed, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'd like to apologize to Jim with my messed up agenda that I have tonight. Jim, I apologize. Can you come back up? Emergency management and local planning. Jim wears many hats. That's one that he wears.
All right, I'm going to start with emergency management tonight. Once again, my name is James Furlow.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
also the emergency management director.
108.
Get to where I need to. All right, our budget consists primarily of the stipends for the emergency management director and the deputy emergency management director, which is also Kevin Reynolds, who's also the fire marshal. So a lot of us wear different hats in the emergency services because of our backgrounds of being past fire chiefs, past officers, and our knowledge of how to run scenes and different things like that. We also look for general equipment and communication radios, cell phones, hotspots, which are needed during emergency response. Those are the categories of which we are requesting our funds under. Our 2023-2024 budget was $19,000. We're requesting a flat budget in this. We've had no increase for the last 4 years, even though we were activated for 2 years during COVID time underneath a national activation requirement. All of the funding that came from outside sources, so we were able to utilize, to the best of our ability, all the different requirements we could get. Kevin Reynolds was our PPE officer, our protective gear officer, and between him and Valerie, they did an absolutely outstanding job of making sure we had everything we needed. And if there was something that wasn't within their bailiwick, such as the super cooler for the vaccines and things like that, because we held our own vaccine schedule, that I got through the National Guards by request and things like that. So we take a look at how we can get these things to our community for the best cost that we can get. But this is primarily just to keep emergency management going forward. All bets are now off the table in terms of kicking things down the road. They've actually asked us to redo our local emergency planning operations plan. We did do that all through October, November, December. The mayor signed off on it, I signed off on it, and the Region 5 development said we did a really good job on it, so they signed off on it. We actually have that slip of paper. Just to give you an idea, I think it was 62 pages long in 2016 because they requested and required sections on COVID, the COVID response, the health department response to COVID and things like that. It's now at 273 pages. So it's a fairly substantial document, but it is a really good document to keep people abreast of what you should be thinking about during emergency responses. We're also in the process of looking at a permanent emergency operations center, or EOC. We've been a floating EOC because of the demands of this town are a little bit unique, as we are one of the few towns in the state of Connecticut that has a major river that separates the town in half. Most towns end at the river. So the river floods, the town goes this way. We need to be able to get across the river. And whether you like it or not, Veterans Bridge, although the bridge itself doesn't go underwater, both accesses to that bridge will go underwater in a 100-year storm event. Route 202 is cut off in a storm event. The positioning of our fire departments in the area are done very well and very cognizant of this. Lanesville will take care of the Lanesville Island. Gaylordsville shifts down a little bit to Boardman Bridge Road. We cover this section here. Northville extends into Washington. We extend partially into Sherman. So it's very well done in terms of where our resources are laid out and associated. So if we keep that going forward, so we need to figure out where we want to put our EOC. A couple different things have come up. I know we've talked to Jasmine about this, potentially making a supercomputer room at the senior center, and they can use the computers all they want for all their requirements, but during an emergency, obviously the seniors aren't going to come down during an emergency. We can then open up our operations center. The problem with that is the generator there only operates the first floor. It does not operate the entire building. So another avenue that we're looking at right now is one down at the old Century Brass, and combining it down there with some of the police and some of the ambulance corps and some of the public works department requirements. This way, at least a portion of all those people required to be in an EOC literally have their headquarters or some sort of branch sitting right there. So, there is some thoughts being done on this at this juncture, and we're looking at what the costs will be associated with that. That is not in this year's budget. I'm just giving you a heads up that these are the things that we look at and go forward with. All right. Thankfully, we've only had several sheltering opportunities that we had to cover. We had a power outage, flat wind a couple of weeks ago. That we had to open an emergency shelter. We were open within 2 hours. We kept it open for about 8 or 9 hours. Thankfully, since it was such a limited area, Eversource was able to get things back up and running a lot quicker than we anticipated, so we did not need to do overnight sheltering. But we did have a warming center and a station there for people to charge their cell phones or any other technical needs that they had. Like I said, our local emergency operations plan was updated by the January 2024 deadline, and we're working with the Connecticut Department of Homeland Security Region 5 and the grant writer to agree for reimbursements of a lot of the funds that we have here. I can't guarantee you when they're going to come in because they're coming out of Homeland Security, but between Tammy and Victoria, who's now our new grant writer, we have asked for reimbursements for the last 4 years. So we're working towards trying to get some of the money back associated with this and working very diligently on that. Thank you. So that's where this particular budget stands. We're looking at a straight out flat budget, $14,000 for personnel, $5,000 for equipment and supplies. Any questions?
Jim? Walter? Then Alex?
Personnel, $50,000 bump. Is that because of the 3-in-1? You got the CEO, the town planner. Ah!
131.
131. Good.
Okay.
Alex?
Just give it away.
I like those.
Okay, so, as part of all your planning and these multiple pages of documents, are you required to do rehearsals, drills, et cetera, as part
Yes, we actually do have to do different types of drills and requirements and things like that. We coordinate those between the different fire departments. We have a very coordinated fire effort. Back when I was past chief, we started doing drills that incorporated all the different fire departments. So thankfully, they pass the buck around and say, Gaylordsville is going to run this year's drill, Northville is going to run a drill, then Waterwich is going to run a drill, and sometimes the ambulance corps will want to run a drill. So we do have those type of drills and those type of coordinations that's done on those things. Then we get into some larger scale drills that include the police department, some of the Department of Public Works, where we get in, we'll bring in a helicopter, we bring in dogs, we bring in RSAR, which is the Animal Rescue Services team. And so we've been out on Clatter Valley all over that 100 and something acres, and we just drop people off at different locations for lost campers, and we go out and do a search and rescue drill. Or we'll go out on the lake and do a search and rescue drill or something like that. So we keep up on all sorts of different drills that are relevant to things that we might actually run into in terms of large-scale operations.
So is there a budgetary implication for you? Or?
Our materials and supplies do help cover that when we're doing a larger event like that. We can also try and get some grants and funds and things like that associated with doing some of these larger events. We generally do one a year.
Right.
So,
thank you.
Kate?
Well, Jim, I want to say thank you, because I could testify to the fact that when the going gets tough, you guys all get tougher. without you during the vaccination time, and I've seen you coordinate so many times, coordinate the other emergency people that, you better not ever go anywhere, because you know all the things that need to be done. But I think it's a testament to all the volunteers and you and the other people that are telling them what to do. But with the vaccination, you really went above and beyond.
No, I just want to take a step back and say, yes, I may have coordinated that, but there are a lot of groups out there.
Absolutely.
And what's run underneath the LEPC and emergency management, we have a CERT team
Right.
that is excessively active. They are one of the best in the state. They are
Yep.
training all the time. They are working all
Yep.
the time. We coordinated with the health department on that. We had a tremendous amount of civil volunteers and different type of
Oh, yes.
agencies there that just made it work.
But you coordinated outdoors, which was the hardest part for those of us inside. But CERT and you, always there with everything, PPEs, everything. So let's hope we never have to do that again, Jim, but thank you.
I agree with you on that.
Thank you for what you did and what you do all the time.
Any other questions for Jim?
All right, now let's move on to the next one. Local Emergency Planning Commission. Just to give you a heads up on this one, this used to be run underneath the auspice of the Health Department, but since it's a local emergency planning commission, it can no longer be under the auspice of the Health Department. So this one sort of fell into my lap. This is a state mandated requirement from 1987. It does have Connecticut general statutes that they have to follow. We have to develop and implement emergency action plans and notification procedures. And we're very good with coordinating with the police department and public works department on this. We have to inventory emergency equipment, facilities, persons, and responsible for the same. So we have to know what's going on at our larger corporations such as Kimberly-Clark, the hospitals, our nursing homes, et cetera, our assisted living facilities. All of those we need to know who the contact information is, how they're working, how they're functioning. That we develop and implement evacuation plans and alternative traffic flows. For example, we have a standing alternative traffic flow for when the Route 7 floods. It's now just, there's no coordination on it. You just call up and say, hey, we're closing it down. The signs come out, they go up, we know where they're going. Every time we do it, we're constantly improving upon that. So that's the way we deal with these things. So we do look at all of that. And then we have to integrate our LEPC emergency plans with all the different regulations and agencies. So we are going to go back into full response with this, 3 meetings a year on this. The next thing I think we need to tackle is our EMS plan in coordination with the what's called the MRC Medical Response Community, which is part of the Health Department, and our EMS group out of New Milford Ambulance Corps. So we'll be working on that coming up. You'll be seeing coming in front of the town council members a request to try and get some additional members on, because some of the people, after COVID started, a lot of people switched positions and gotten out of those positions. So I'm in the process of trying to coordinate with the hospital and some of the other larger groups where they have chemical storage, et cetera, to be on this commission and getting it back up and running now that we have some requirements that we need to get done. Our budget is $4,000. We're not looking for an increase in the budget because this can continue to go through. And again, there's a lot of different things. These also include our CERT funds and our NARA, which is the Northville Amateurs Radios Association. They are still active. As a matter of fact, we activated them when we had an issue with our radio system. We had a crash of our radio system. We activated them. We put them. Thankfully, we called them off, but they were going to set up at the hospital and then be able to cover all of our emergency responses because their boss has all 4 of the emergency response channels in the town of New Milford. So, and they are looking for a new bus, so at some point in time, we'll be looking at retrofitting one of the old senior buses to become a new amateur radio requirement because, again, we reutilize things for these type of scenarios. But our 4,000 budget, I think, will hold us off very nicely.
Any questions for Jim? Jim, lastly, I'm asking you to put back on your land use hat. As I ask each and all the departments. So, the real big driver of your thing is adding the new staff and then contractual consultants that we use to help sometimes approve larger projects. So if we were to go to a zero budget, what would happen?
A zero budget will substantially impact personnel. Not just the new position would obviously be cut, but also a reduction in personnel and staff, because there are, requirements associated with union contracts and various other requirements that we have there. If you take a look at our budget for land use, it is heavily associated with personnel. Personnel is the greatest asset that we have there to help the community. So I don't know how many of you have come in for permits or, work in the permitting process or work in real estate, et cetera. You then know what we do on a general basis, or if you sit on a commission there, you know what happens, or if had sit on a commission there, you know what the drivers are and what we look at there. In addition, when you take a look at, then if the commission needs to separate and or modify a new state statute, which are coming out all the time, for whether it's education requirements for zoning officials now, or, zoning needs to change its regulations to meet these new requirements, that personnel won't be able to meet those particular requirements, won't be able to do the draft necessary. So you would have to be going out to legal attorneys or somebody else to deal with that. So you won't lose money, you'll just be shifting it around to another location.
Thank you, Jim.
So I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. Thank you and the teams all.
I want to thank every one of you for supporting us throughout the years, between fire departments and emergency management, land use, et cetera.
Thank you, Jim.
That's it?
And Tom, it's not too bad to go to the senior center, okay? I only qualify for 4 days now, all right?
We're all gonna end up there.
Okay. Next up, Mr. Mankin and Sullivan Farms.
And happy birthday, Jim, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Look, you guys did not schedule this, you guys have to sing happy birthday.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye, Jim.
So it's fairly simplistic. The personnel account has increased due to the minimum wage, which has risen twice,
Right.
and we probably will expect it to rise again next year. At some point, it's going to become a problem. Also, 2 years ago, you graciously gave us 2 positions, full-time, which were necessary to kind of keep the program
And
going.
Mark, glad you brought that up. And where did that funding come out of for those 2?
Well, I was going to explain that.
All right, awesome.
The agreement was basically, at the end of the 2 years, it was COVID money that we would be providing the funds. During the last 4 months, the Friends of Sullivan Farm have raised $110,000 towards these 2 positions, which will keep them, along with the benefits, the medical, all the expenses, for the next year. We meet again, I believe in March, to begin planning the funding for the following year. And they will continue to do that. It's a new board, it's very strong, some great people who are very generous and dedicated to the farm. So it's working out very well.
Well, Mark, not to hold you there too, but since we're kind of on American Relief Funds, also, which was the COVID response, part of those funds too redid the Sullivan Farm roof on the major barn, correct?
Yes, yes.
And prior to that work, because it was sorely needed, lots of leaks in that roof.
Well, we
couldn't
used a
use
lot
it.
of those syrup buckets during the course of the year in various locations, so they had to be emptied on a regular basis, yes.
And now with the
It,
roof, it's much,
it's a great place to be.
there we go.
Yes.
Okay.
A little drier. Materials and supplies stays exactly the same as it has for the last 10 years. And then we have self-sustaining, which is increased, anticipating increased programming. And the money basically in self-sustaining is offset by revenue of the same amount.
So Mark, just real quick, first of all, thank you. Thanks to staff. Just a couple quick questions. How many kids, some being from Sarah Noble, some being from outside of our district, have come to the farm to kind of learn about agriculture?
In the past year,
Past year, yes, sir.
we've probably had around 1,000 students. They range from Sacred Heart University. We have a good connection with Chippewa now and their ag program up there, where students are actually doing part of their school work at the farm, but they're also bringing down in 2 weeks classes to basically run through the maple syruping program because they want to start one. A lot of elementary school children. We finally have worked out a deal with Sarah Noble. Every third grader comes twice a year, in the fall and in the spring. And then that doesn't include, last year's Maple Fest was close to 400 people. There are literally hundreds of individuals who come to the farm stand every week. A lot of them obviously are duplications, but a lot of them are transient, people who just kind of drive by. They see this barn sitting almost in the road and like the idea of stopping and taking a look at it. A lot of people hiking, a lot of people bringing their dogs, and we had 5 cross-country skiers this year who used the cross-country ski trail for the one day that it was available.
And Mark, how many, we have the 2 positions that'll be funded, thank goodness, by the Friends of Sullivan Farm. But how many youngsters come up there, learn about hard work, learn about the soil, the land? How many youngsters work there right now?
This year, right now, we have about 20 students, high school and college. At any one time, it kind of runs between 10 and 14. A lot of it's seasonal. Some of them have sports, some of them have scholastic obligations that they have. But we'll run about 20 individuals.
And Mark, I pose the question as I have to all the departments so far. Obviously, your drivers, as you just said, were due to increases in the minimum wage that we have no ability to change.
Right.
So if we were to go to a 0 budget for the Sullivan Farm, what would happen?
You'd be back here by yourself.
It would become overgrown very quickly. You wouldn't have fields up there. You would have brush. I think a lot of people who utilize it on a regular basis, whether it's weekly for vegetables, whether it's just enjoying the property, it's the largest piece of property the town owns, I believe. I think it would have an effect on the morale of the community. Is it like the police department or public works? No. But it serves a function. And the fact that thousands of people use it every year, and that will increase dramatically with the new facility up there, it would be something that would be missed.
Mark, I also believe, Katie, you can help me with this too, and probably Mayor Gambino. I think when the town took on the endeavor, when the Sullivans, we bought the property from the Sullivans, part of that deed or part of that agreement that the town made was to continue to farm and make that a working area. And without those kids helping out, that doesn't work.
Right. Since 1841, it's been an agricultural facility. Only 2 owners, the Sullivan family and the town of New Milford. It's very unique. It's the oldest continuously running farm in the town.
Walter.
You mentioned new facilities. Can you give us an update on that? Basically, where you are in the planning stage?
Sure.
Where it is?
So all the architectural plans have been done. They've been sealed by the state of Connecticut. The engineering firm that we've hired with the money that we started with, they completed the outlay as far as where the buildings are going to go, the parking lots. I am now learning about the permit process. And boy, was I naive. So we're doing that. We're dealing with Eversource right now. They own a massive 300-foot right-of-way. right down the middle of the property. And so we have to work with them. But we will begin, I guess, doing boring next week to kind of see, what's in the area as far as the septic, the grease trap. We're going to bid the building out probably within the next month. And we're in the process now. The engineer is actually in the process of meeting with zoning and the other land use offices and getting ready to make the presentations to them. So it's moving along. It's going to take a little longer than I thought. I'm old school. You go out there, you dig a hole, and you put the building up. It doesn't work that way.
Would you give a new school estimate on when it will be completed?
I think, we're looking at right now, it's going to be 2 to 3 months for the permit process. During that period, they'll be able to build the building. It's built off-site and then brought in. They put it up in a week. Then the electricians, the other guys come in. So, I'm hoping that end of August, early September, we could see this thing in the fall. Again, I'm a dreamer, but,
Any other questions? Mayor?
He says he's a dreamer, but all his dreams come true. I know from
Thank you.
years of experience. Mark, just to bring it to yesterday, how's your run, your maple run?
It's terrible.
That's what I
I
thought.
think tomorrow will be the last day. We've made 25% of what we would normally make. The weather has just been, it's just not conducive. You need that cold evening, nice warm sunny day. It's either been too cold or now it's going to go up into the 60s. And sap is like milk. It has a lot of bacteria. And when it goes into the 60s, the bacteria just blooms and it starts to seal up the lines and the holes. The good part about it is, I was telling the mayor the other day that we have some friends who are willing to sell us syrup at $37 a gallon. We get 120 up here. So we probably we'll be making some decent money. But yeah, it's been a bad year. And for everybody.
Yeah.
But added to that, your revenues on the vegetables and the syrup and the hay, how does that, is that working all right? I don't see your revenue.
Yeah, the very bottom, if you take a look, the last,
I can't
that's
read
the
it.
revenue line. Oh, okay.
It's self-sustaining, penny to penny.
So there's a self-sustaining account, which is 98,000, and it's offset by a revenue account.
That part I saw. I'm talking about the hay crop and the veggies.
That would be included in that revenue. So everything that we sell up there, which varies dramatically from year to year. You have a bad maple year, you're going to have a great hay year. You have a bad radish year, you're going to have a great pumpkin year. Things kind of, level off. Or you raise the price.
Pumpkin year, bad.
Alex?
Payroll and hiring people, is that done by the town, by you? Because
We do it through the personnel department.
So how does the $110,000 that was raised get
You'll
accounted?
see that coming as a gift to the town.
Okay.
Once the funding comes in, approved by the town.
Okay.
Then that will be going towards paying
Their
those
payroll.
employees. Yep.
Right, so those two positions were in a special account.
Right.
And so the money, I think you guys approved the first section of that on Monday evening. That'll go into that account and carry through until the end of June. Then we'll be back with an additional donation to carry it through the rest of the year.
Wonderful. So the employees are hired through our HR?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mark? Mark, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
all you guys there, appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Sorry to keep you up so late.
Next is Public Works. Public Works, they have a small revenue line. That's page, I believe, 26, I think
Sure.
it is. That's the small revenue line.
123, Walter, did you say?
143.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
expenditures.
143, 210.
Thank you.
Those are all expenditures. I mean,
Oh, well, look what we have here.
so page 26 is the revenue. We'll let Jack and the team do their presentation first. Jack?
To be honest, there's a lot of lines in our budget, so we didn't put the lines up here.
Yes, Cindy.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a presentation. I think we're going to give you a presentation. I think most of you know what we do, but we thought we would just remind you. We have a mission statement, and I will tell you just to start off, this year we by the time we meet with you next year, we will be the second APWA certified public works department in the state of Connecticut. Oh, I want to start off first. Excuse me. I brought a team with me because I don't know all the answers. I have Mike Boucher, Chuck Ballard, Dave Martin from our facilities group, Jason Hyde from our engineering group, and Holly Meserve. She's our administrator for the department, and so I brought a team just in case. So we have a mission statement. We try to achieve that every year. We work to be the best that we can be. Okay, some of the services we provide, and again, I think most of you know this, but we do infrastructure construction and maintenance, and New Milford has over 200 miles of paved roads and 26 miles of gravel roads. And I will tell you, the cost of the gravel roads probably is in the same category as the paved roads. We have 63 plus or minus, no, probably more bridges, and a lot of those bridges are aging. And I think we've done 4 or 5 bridges in the last couple of years. We're planning on doing 2 more this year if we can work out the BAT details with the Army Corps of Engineers. And then over the next 5 years, we have at least 10 more bridges lined up, just the reconstruction, and then we'll also be doing a lot of maintenance work. Chris Jurgen, who's not here tonight, Chris is our new deputy foreman with Mike. I've asked him to put together a proactive bridge management program so that we can tell you in any one given year what we're going to do as far as installing new guardrails, painting, inspecting underneath, so that we're getting away from being reactionary management to being proactionary management. We do drainage systems. This year we've done a lot of great drainage systems. If it would stop raining, we wouldn't mind. We are working on sidewalks continuously. We have a tree management team now with a bucket truck. Mike is the main tree warden for the town. You will see our truck out doing a lot of work. In addition to that, we also have a contractor firm. Again, New Milford is the largest landmass, and you got a lot of trees. If the bugs would stop killing them, it would help. Winter maintenance, we do snow removal. Not much snow removal this year, but that's okay. That's all right with us. We've done quite a bit of ice work, and frankly, this winter it's been a lot of replacing gravel roads. I think we had like almost 3 times the normal amount of gravel in 1 year.
Jack, I don't know if you would like to answer, or Mike can answer it. For those that surprised me when I first became mayor, was that icy roads, where you have that ice rain, it actually costs more to treat on a budgetary basis than a big snowstorm.
I'm going to let Mike. Mike's he's with it every day.
Yeah, with snow, you can put the salt down, and then you just plow over it for the remainder of the storm. With ice, you got to keep applying it, because the water it melts it washes it away. You got to keep applying it. So we go through more material on an ice storm.
Unfortunately, these last 2 years, and when you and I talk on the phone, these are where we're getting these storms at night. They tend to be ice. You guys are out at nighttime. They happen to be, most of them now lately, on weekends.
Yep.
Which continues to drive up the budgetary
20 hours on Martin Luther King's Day. Yep. That's double time for everybody.
But I can tell you what, I've seen it firsthand myself. Amazing work they do. Yeah. When people are sleeping in their beds, these guys are out there making sure our roads are nice and safe. Can't thank you guys enough for that.
I live on one of the craziest hills in this town, but I can't believe how well you guys
About that for 11 years. I know.
It's an insane hill.
Okay.
Maybe Mike just talked about also when we get that cold snap, and then if we get a little water on dirt roads, they freeze up sooner.
Yeah, the gravel roads will freeze up. We really haven't had that this year because there's been such a freeze thaw. So that's why our gravel roads have been horrible this year. Well, we really do want the cold to freeze the gravel roads up, because then when it snows, you can plow off them, or plow them off. When it doesn't, when we don't get the freeze, you can't put the plow down.
And prime example, Mike, Walter he and I were just talking for just a moment. It's gonna be below freezing after midnight tonight, so if you can kind of tell if you kind of tell the council and the board of, what's your process? What's your steps when you take a look at that? Obviously, you're watching the weather all the time.
Normally, I would be in bed by now, because I know I gotta get up early. So, I usually get up around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll check the weather and see what's going on. If there's nothing happening, I'll lay back
Mike, you
down.
want to go up to the mic a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thought I was loud enough. Like I said, normally I get up about 3 in the morning if I know something's coming, and I'll check the weather. I'll look outside. If I think I got to go for a ride, I'll get in the truck and go for a ride just to see what's going on. Sometimes I'll call PD and see if the officers have any input. We have a very good weather service that we have, that they notify me normally an hour before any precipitation's about to start, so that's helpful.
Awesome.
But like tonight, I'm not so worried about it because it's gonna be windy. The rain will stop, the wind will dry it up, and we'll be fine.
Awesome.
Fingers crossed.
Jack?
So,
Excuse me, can I ask a question about the whole snowplow?
Absolutely.
Since we're in the middle of that right now.
Absolutely.
How much does one of those trucks weigh?
Fully loaded,
Yeah.
you're around probably 48,000 pounds, something like that, 40 to 48,000 pounds. Fully loaded, plow, sander, and a full load of salt.
Thank you. Mud City, I'm just thinking.
and sometimes we have to move the trucks to different routes, because if you give you that weight, you'll notice some of the roads, the bridges are derated, and so we can't put a fully loaded truck on one of those roads.
Can't go across the 36-ton.
Right, so we have to watch that to make sure we know which truck we're putting on which road, which is one of the reasons we're trying to be proactive with getting these bridges complete. Like, we're gonna start, in about a year, you're gonna see Sand Road Bridge replaced. You're gonna look at it and say, geez, it doesn't look that bad. But it's already been derated, and it's probably gonna be derated again, so we're moving, and that one's 100% paid for by the state, so that's a bridge we like to do. I'm gonna continue. The winter maintenance and snow removal, emergency response, and vehicle equipment and maintenance. The mayor, I know, did bring that up. One of the things that in the budget book, you'll notice that on the vehicle maintenance, I added $20,000 there. The reason I did that, I had the mayor and I, when I got here, I talked about programs I've used in other towns where we take older cars from the PD. They're high in hours, their mileage aren't that much. We take them, we refurbish them. So I wanted, in the past, we've taken money out of the maintenance account. I wanted to dedicate $20,000 to an account where we could, all that'll be used for is like rebuilding a car. We just did one for the tax assessor, and we have to, right now we're waiting, he's using it, but we had to get the airbag and a few other things. So that $20,000 you see in there, that's dedicated solely for the rebuilding of cars. That avoids buying a new car. So we fixed it and we can put it back into service. Thanks, Mike. Okay, facilities department's here. Dave's here. If you have any questions for Dave, you know, we support facilities construction and maintenance. We manage about 257,000 square feet.
Hey, Jack, sorry to interrupt you, but talking about Dave and his maintenance facilities team.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job for our town.
Come on
Thanks.
up, Dave.
But look at this.
Come on, Dave.
Look at this right here, Town Hall. A prime example, right here.
Dave the man.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, I got a good crew of guys and ladies, and yeah, we got our hands full, you know. A lot of buildings, you know. Some of them are old. A lot of them are old.
Yes.
And yeah, so this year we're, you know, with the help of Pete and Jack and, you know, you folks, we're trying to get some roofs done, which are in desperate need. Yeah. So that's our main concern, I think, this year is roofs.
Great job, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Jack, keeping.
But Dave, before you leave, one of the things that Dave's, you may have seen at the library, we had Sinopoli there recently. That's, again, we're getting away, I don't like reactionary management. I probably said that to you all 5 years I've been here. I don't like it. And, trying to move around here. I don't like reactionary management, so it's proactive. We've been working with Dave and with the mayor, and we are identifying the buildings. These buildings should be, because they're brick, should be pointed and repointed and sealed on a regular basis. So We started with the library. You'll see there's money that you've allocated out of surplus. We'll be doing the town hall this summer, and we've got a facilities dude program that Naya is working on with Dave to put schedules in there so that it'll pop up what year we need to do each building. That's why it's on a managed approach.
And Jack or Dave, we try to use technology when we harness efficiency. So we have a system, a CRM system for facilities called Facilities Dude, where the person that, say, for instance, I need something moved, or I see that, there's some brickwork needs to be done. They shoot that off to Dave and his team, and then Dave, what do you guys do?
Yeah, Facilities Dude is a great program. Say that Pete wants his room painted. He could put on there, Pete Bass, Town Hall, room painted, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as we get it, we can prioritize it, send it out to one of our technicians, and that Facilities Dude actually keeps track of how much money we spend on that certain request and where it's done and who did it. And then Naya puts it all down in there, so if you ever wanted to
Does it
see.
also track how long it takes you to get to it, though? I thought it did that.
It will also do that too.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I thought.
It will keep track of it, yes.
So it doesn't get sitting
Yeah,
by
it's
mistake.
a great
Yeah.
program,
Yeah.
really is, super, It's a real good communicative, tool that we all can use. Everything from a draw being broken to, major floods, yeah, it's really good.
Speaking of technology and the use of it, right? We have fixnewmilford.com, right? So say you're driving around, you see this pothole. That pothole just, is too big or whatever. You can stop, take a picture if you want, or you can pull over to the side of the road to be safe, or go to wherever your end location is. You can put that in the system, and then Mike, what happens when that's put into the system?
The second you enter it in the system, I get an email that says we have a request on C-Click Fix. So then I can sit down, it gives me a request number that ties to our cartograph software. I can go in there, I make a task, I assign that task to whoever's in the pothole truck that day. He has an iPad, it pops up on his iPad, and he goes and does it. It's that simple.
Then the pothole machine comes out, to the rescue, right?
Yeah, we're gonna put a speaker on it and play that theme song for you.
Alex?
So what more than one person has reported the same pothole?
What I normally do in that case is I'll write on one of them that it's been reported elsewhere, and I'll close it, because I can't put that request number for two requests. They can't be joined, so I'll close one of them and just work off another.
So
If you go on the C-Click Fix page, or if you have the app and you look, everything that we've ever done is there as a little dot on the map, so it'll always be there.
And Mike, we've had this technology now for a couple of years, and some of the other towns are emulating what we're doing. And I think what's great too is, Mike, you're helping assist us, as we heard from Park and Rec, that we're actually now putting our Park and Rec teams onto Cartograph. That brings the same type of efficiencies to that department as well.
Correct. I actually have a phone call scheduled with, what was that, the other town? That wants to talk about, Winston wants to talk about doing cartograph, and, I mean, it's great for us, it really is, we can track everything, so.
Awesome. Sorry, Jack, I keep interrupting.
That's all right.
I apologize.
Okay, streetlight maintenance, they're responsible for the streetlights, the decorative lighting, security and fire protection, radio tower facility maintenance. And I will tell you, this is something that we only picked up the last couple of years. And I was talking with one of the fire chiefs last night. He's very happy. A few years ago, he called one time and said, I can see the tower, Jack, but I can't talk to it. And so, I told the mayor that it wasn't really good. And again, going back to proactive management. And so we've added, I think we have about $50,000, but we now maintain all of the antennas. So if there's a problem with the antenna, and it sounds funny, it involves even air conditioning, because the control buildings have air conditioning. So Dave disappeared on me. Dave, he has a standing cycle. He goes up, checks these things, and makes sure they're all operating. We have the generator maintenance program. Again, a couple years ago, we didn't have that. All the generators now are in facility dude. He kicks it out. Dave checks them, and all the emergency generators are all checked on a regular basis now. Energy management, we are constantly looking at that. Town roofs, Dave already touched on that. And we worked on the max to renovate it and get it so that it, I think it's rented more now than it used to be, so.
And Jack, just a couple things while you're still on the slide, that energy management. So we've seen times we've gotten notifications that spoke to Eversource. We've been very fortunate because we have been told, especially during some times when it was very hot and very cold, that we could have rolling blackouts due to the fact that the grid can't support the energy. So what's happened is Jack will get those things, especially during those peak times. He'll inform the entire network here in town government, town side, and let us know if you don't have to turn on all your lights, turn on just the most essential ones. Make sure and turn your air conditioners up if you possibly can, all in essence to make sure that we're prepared if indeed it's a blackout.
And they also, as you know, Tom, they will hit you on your peak demand. So we have worked hard to reduce the peak demand so that it keeps our costs down. We don't have to buy as much energy or register as much. So anyway.
Lastly, too, Jack, when I first became mayor, and then Jack and I were talking, and I'm sure Jasmine can talk about it a little bit, or if there were some other of the department heads here. When a department had an issue, a facilities issue, and Dave could talk about, sometimes they'd want to go handle it themselves. Right, Dave? They want to go buy their own air conditioner, or they want to go out and do their stuff. And we talk with them, explain, really, if you silo these functions. So for facilities, you have a problem, put it in facilities, dude. Talk to Dave and his team, because they're pros. You don't have to worry about it, and you can do your job, which is what you need to do, spend your time. And which is great. We've seen tremendous results as we've let the pros, like Dave and his facilities team, do that type of work, and we continue to do those kind of functionality silos to make it more efficient.
And I just want to brag a moment. The picture there in the bottom right, Mike and Dave and the team. If you remember, the monument used to be over on the hill, and it was tipping, and we got some money, and the team, along with Sinopoli, put the new location, the flag, the cement that goes around it. And I think it's a really nice addition to the Patriots Way. So anyway, I want to say Mike and Dave, they're the ones that coordinated that.
Great job.
Mike, go ahead. The functions include, we do department and asset management. We manage the roads, we manage the bridges, drainage, sidewalks, the dams. Now, I know, we have 2 dams that the town is responsible for, Reservoir Number 4, which we have 3 conceptual designs for the repair of that, which I think we'll probably be bringing back to the town council and everybody in March, because we need to move on spending the ARPA money.
And Jack, you could just stop there for a second, right? So that's a dam, and we had a ton of people here.
Yeah.
Talking about the use of that dam, how it's a great recreational use. If needed at some point in time, God forbid, it is a reservoir.
That's what it was.
But it needed some work, still needs some work. And we set aside through town council, board of finance, and the public, set aside funds for you to do those repairs on that dam.
And we've worked on the design, we've done the hydrographs on it. And again, there's some changes that we have to make, and before we proceed, I think that's something that needs to be presented. So the town, I think one of the things that the department's been doing for trying to communicate, we have open before we do a project, whether it's a road or bridge, we have public information meetings up here. I think for Marial, we had 3 or 4 already before we do the bridge project. And I think it's very helpful to get their input.
And Jack, why I bring that up as well, and we'll talk more about it as we continue on. But could you imagine DPW coming in and we're looking at our books, Walter, right? We're looking at our books, and all of a sudden, 1.2 million more? What? Pete, we got to do the dam. Great news. Using ARPA funds. Not in the budget.
Right.
You know what I say to that, Rolando? Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's right.
Thanks, Jack. I digress.
There you go. I plan to have a few of these soft pitches that you can,
I need it. I'm a Mets fan.
Right, Jack, yeah.
Well, the Red Sox aren't any better.
Yep.
Anyway, we do project management and design. Again, Jason's here. Jason does a lot of the project management. He's one of the quiet people. You don't get to see him much. But all those maps you get and all those maps you see and the design drawings and stuff, like we support Liba with some of her activities and things, where the mayor needs a map to show detours. Jason's the one who puts those together and gets them out to everybody. He's the person you'll see out along with Chuck Ballard and some of Mike's crew. They'll be sticking the cameras down in the catch basins, checking all these. So I want to make sure we acknowledge that Jason does this. One of the things, and I'm just going to talk briefly on it, we've had a little turnover in the department in the last year. And so I keep telling Jason and Mike, they're the Weezers. They've been here longer than anybody. The office staff, there's 7 of us. 3 have been in the working force now less than a year. James Sheridan, he's been with us 3 weeks. And actually, we hired him down at WPCA. I knew when we interviewed him that he was going to be a good hire. We had an opening. He moved up here, and I'll tell you already, he's already rewritten the whole MS4 program. He's put together a package for us, working with Chuck on he's going to buy laboratory equipment. He's going to go do the sampling, so we don't have to hire a lab anymore. He's going to go out and do the sampling. So he's been a great addition. Holly Meserve, stand up. She's our office administrator. She put together the documents and the presentation, which she put together on the 14th of January, and I forgot about it till the other day. But Holly's been with us now 3 months, and I think she's doing a great job. She's jumped right in and doing that for us. Chuck's been in his position 5 months now. So we've got a relatively younger staff
Before
there.
that, though, Chuck
moved up.
Mike in the operations of
Yeah.
the highway.
Chuck was one of those. He interviewed here, and when we interviewed him, I wrote a note down the road. He's going to be good for, and so he's up in our department now. He's finishing up on his engineering degrees, and as part of what he's doing, he's going to get his PE because you've asked about the criteria for other departments. We have to have a PE, and right now your PE is going to be 66 years old, so we need to backfill that position. So Chuck's working on that. And then Chris Juergens, who is now Mike's, we call Mike the stepping stone. We have people go to Mike and then move on. So now Chris Juergens working with Mike, and Chris he's also jumped up from the department. He's promoted. So we're promoting from within. Overall, our staff is 51 people and 1 intern. 10 of the people who work for us right now have less than 1 year in their position. And we've had to change how we hire people in that we've created 2 more classes. At one time, we had class 1 and class 2 in highway. We now have 3 and 4, so we can hire somebody without a CDL or with a CDL and almost no experience. The ones without a CDL, Mike has created a school so that we can actually have somebody come in and we will train them and they can get their CDL through us. So just a few things. I digressed a little bit here, but
We had 6 new people plowing and didn't notice any difference in service this year.
so. So we're getting a lot of changes, but we are fully staffed. Maybe Chuck, what's it? Some of the other towns are down to 10 people.
I came from the town of Wallingford before here, and reaching out to them, they're down 9, and that's not unrealistic for other towns around. They're having a hard time finding new employees, retaining them, and the program that Mike and Jack, instituted here, bringing in, some untrained or non-CDL holders, really helped the department out, helped Mike out, the storms, exceptional, to have a 12-inch storm and everybody went home right after dinner. That was amazing. So, it's been a good program, and, hopefully it continues with everyone's support.
Our latest trainee for a CDL goes tomorrow, so keep your fingers crossed. It goes to test tomorrow.
Construction manager, residential, Naya has been working on we were paper permitting up until just recently. Naya has worked very hard with David Watson and with the land use staff, and we now are fully automated. We're fully permitted online. So if you want a driveway permit or a right-of-way permit, you go online and you can do it right online now. And then again, contract administration and financials, Holly works on those for us and maintains those on a daily basis. Again, our budget, I'll say this tongue-in-cheek, Mayor. You're going to ask me if it took me to 0. I'd say that's good because that means I get an increase because we're actually down 1.5%. So I'll take the 0% increase.
And so, Jack, kind of staying on the budgetary, the 1.5% reduction is due to capital.
Capital, yeah, it is. It's primarily, it's almost all capital. The town council and the Board of Finance have been very good to us. We've been able to buy trucks and equipment and other capital by way of the town council and off the reserve. So that's been very beneficial. That keeps our budget down. Overall, over 2 years, we're down 1.43% for 2 years. And again, that's in capital.
That's because, Jack, we've been able to use, as you just said, our surplus funding. And Mike, can you kind of talk a little bit about the snowplow trucks?
Okay.
And we've been able to, when I first got here, those trucks were, how bad a shape were they? You and I used to talk, we were talking all the time.
Yeah, we had bubble gum and duct tape keeping a lot of them together. We had Paul Thurlow was one of our best I call him a backyard mechanic. He could keep anything running. These days with the new equipment, you don't have that because everything's electronic.
And what's great about that as well is, when you look at the surplus funds, you use those to get this capital equipment that they sorely need, so that we're not sitting here going like this in our budget books. What?
Yeah.
And it helps the taxpayer. And the cost of and Walter just said too, the cost of the trucks, right? Now you got new trucks,
We
maintenance
just
wise and everything
got approval
else.
for 2 at $530,000.
And we work with the mayor. We work with the mayor so that we're planning out trucks. The number of trucks we have and the age of the trucks and how you turn them over, we're getting it so that we're trying to make it. Sorry, right arm doesn't work. The trucks, we know about where we should be on buying vehicles every year. I could tell you for the next 10 years what you should be buying, what equipment. Obviously the prices are going to change, but you can plan that, and and that way it's before him, and he's got that thinking all the time.
That might kind of staying on the equipment, right? One of the things that I love, some people hate it, right? They cry, they hate it a little bit, but it's the pothole machine.
I love it.
Right? I love that machine myself.
Absolutely.
There's some people, Walter, they cry about it. Okay, so could you talk to the council and those watching on TV about how many potholes is that pothole machine filled?
We're in the 60,000 range, I believe, at this point.
It's the Superman of the equipment.
Say what you want about that truck. I love it. We get a pothole complaint on See-Click Fix. I send it to a guy. He goes out and does it. It's simplified the process.
And it lasts.
The potholes do.
Potholes that are 3 years old, that are as good as the day they were put in.
Absolutely.
Where years before, by the afternoon, the hole was empty.
When we use
And
cold
this
patch.
went on and on and on.
And Mike, as I've talked about this before, so when I first got here, right, the majority of the complaints I received, between Walter, sometimes 30, 40 complaints I get a week on the potholes and the roads. So I said to myself, hey, I got to kind of see how that works. So I drive down, Walter, to West Street to watch a pothole get done. 4 or 5 guys get out, right? Because it's wintertime, don't have the asphalt plants. Right. So what do they got to use? Cold patch. They throw it in there, drive over it, and about 45 minutes later, here it comes up. I'm just like,
We patch the same hole sometimes 3 times a day before we go home.
So now we got.
Those 5 guys to stand there.
Yes, right.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
Thank you, Paul. So now got one guy, and he's in a pretty heated truck. Looks pretty sweet. Got the one, he's got the one looks like a
Joystick.
helicopter control.
Yeah.
Hits the first button, the air comes out, right? Blows out the whole. Second is a tap coat. Third is the emulsion. One guy.
Yep.
And then Mike can use the rest of the crew to go do the other stuff that they do wonderfully. And Mike, another question. Got some haters on this one too,
Yeah.
right? We got a remote control lawnmower, right?
We just had it out last week.
Okay.
Look at
Orlando got a remote control lawnmower.
the hillside
Got
next
some-
to.
Got some people saying, oh, these are just toys that we're doing. So Mike, can you talk a little bit about a remote lawnmower and how it creates more efficiency than it would be with like 6 or 8 guys out there with weed whackers?
Well, we cleared the hill below our yard there on Young's Field so we could pull stumps out, winter project. It took one guy one day to mow the whole hill. We've done it before with 3 or 4 guys, and it takes them a couple days with weed eaters. It's difficult terrain.
It's safer.
It's absolutely safer that way. He's standing, 100 feet away watching this machine do it. Young's Field, the hill behind the ball field, same thing. You could say you could send guys up there to do it, but I don't know if anybody's ever walked up there, but there's years and years and years of dumping wood chips in there. That stuff's very soft. People trip and fall, there's definitely a chance for injury there. This machine, it's one guy with a little, Xbox controller thing, and he watches it go.
It was great, Mike. So Tom, you got the one a maintainer, or the one if it's a park and rec that's used it, and they've done the bowl up by the police department, or our DPW crew. So Mike, how does that help you? So instead of having 5 guys or 4 guys that are out there weed whacking, you got one guy, so now you got 3 other guys. What could they be doing on that daily job for you to help create more efficiency?
It's allowed us to move those guys to roadside mowing, so we have the equipment where we can put them into a roadside mower and get more done that way. That's our biggest struggle, is keeping up with the roadside mowing. With we have 200 miles of road, so there's 400 lane miles there. It's tough. It's a lot of grass, a lot of brush to cut. So it allows us in the summertime to open that up better.
Thank you, Mike. Rolando.
Sure.
I know you said we're fully staffed, so knock on wood with that. But with the CDL program, do you have any requirement of somebody that doesn't have a CDL, and we pay for all that? Is there a requirement how long they have to remain with us before they?
They have 18 months to get their CDL.
No, but once they get the CDL, do they have a requirement to stay with us for a certain amount of time?
We don't have that yet. We've discussed putting it into the hiring process.
Because
yes.
I know from other towns, and I've seen it going on with the school bus industry, like people would just go and use you for the CDL and then just leave. So just.
Like I say, we've discussed doing it. We're going to put it into the application process, that if you make it like a contract you sign when you get hired, because the state allows us to do this, and we shouldn't be a stepping stone.
Thanks,
Jack, how many years was your contract?
I thought it was a day-to-day thing with the mayor. Anyway, I want a few highlights since there's some new things. Mike is our drone operator. We have a drone. In fact, Mayor, we have a nice video of the Lover's Leap Bridge, and good news is it looks really good. The only thing I would say is maybe we'll do a little paint next year on the upper part, but underneath it looks good. The DPW certification, Mike.
And Jack, I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but we've got Boardman Bridge. A lot of conjecture about Boardman Bridge.
Yeah.
And Katie, I know you were heavily involved in that, even before I became mayor.
Yes, indeed.
Right? So this bridge has been talked about before.
Oh.
Right? So tomorrow we have an opening, right, through our purchasing agent. And for those that want to come, please do so. 3:30.
Yep.
Come on in.
We'll open the bids.
And that's when we're going to open the bids. And Jack, did we have people come and walk Boardman Bridge?
What did we have? 5 or 6?
Six.
That showed up for the pre-bid meeting.
Thank you, Chuck.
And just
Thank you, Jack.
also, again, talk about the drones. Mike, also, I had a company come out from Heartland who are specialized in aging bridges, and they looked at it and they said, as much as you may think this is in poor condition, it's really not that bad. So I had Mike do a drone on that. It really underneath. If we could get the deck fixed and touch up the spots, get the weeds off and everything. The abutments will need some work, but overall, it's not ready to fall into the river. I can tell you that. It's in pretty good shape.
The flakes.
Yeah, you're
and
worried
the
about
abutments. The abutments been questioned, and we'll see what they say tomorrow about it. But
yeah, I'm optimistic. Because again, there were 6 firms, and they were all pretty good firms. They were
Yes.
firms on record.
yeah, 2 of them said they had done work here before. One when he was with the state, but.
B City. You know, Mike, I was involved, but
First town in the state.
First town in the state, and so we're the first town in the state to become B certified. Mike is on. You're on the committee, right? So Mike's.
Jack, wasn't it your daughter that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I told her she owes me forever for that one.
Right.
Don't worry, I'm using that to my advantage. We built. Okay, we talked about that. I just want to also mention we all. I think you've all seen us at different meetings. We support the Planning and Zoning Commission. We do reviews on their applications. B City, Traffic Authority. Chuck normally goes to the Traffic Authority, but unfortunately right now he's somehow finagled getting his class that night, so I go to the Traffic Authority while he's at class. The Municipal Building Committee, I go to the Municipal Building Committee and support them. The Municipal Road Committee, all of us support them. We just recently had a meeting, and Chuck, maybe you just want to talk about the road schedule that you talked to them about.
Yeah, so similar to prior years, we're looking at doing 8 miles of reconstruction. It's a combination of mill and pave and reclamation. Included in these projects is drainage work, and as you could tell lately, there's been a lot more precipitation, a lot more problems on our roadways. So, you know, we're looking at drainage improvements heavily on these roads. So going forward, we don't have to cut open a road and make repairs after the fact. We're also Aquarians in town now doing a lot of water main work. I'm sure everyone's driven over those roads. While they're doing this work, they're going to be required to mill and pave those sections that they disturb. Our plan is to come in and replace the drainage ahead of that. So that way, again, these are just additional road miles that we could add to our projects. It benefits the town. The big cost is asphalt and a mill and pave. So if we can get in and do the drainage work ahead of time, Aquarian's going to cover the cost for us. So we're just extending our tax dollars a little bit further. So it benefits us. But you know, yeah, right now we're looking at, you know, roughly 8 miles of reconstruction. Mike's got a chip seal list that's ready to go. I don't know the total on that. 12 miles of chip seal, rubberized. We're doing again this year as well. So we're using a combination of many different treatments on these roads, just, you know, to make these roads last and use the money wisely.
I know, I'll defer to Walter in a second. It's just, I know our plan of action, we've talked about this to the town council before, is to be able to treat every road in our network every 8 years. Correct, Jack? That's kind of the goal.
We're starting this year to go back, and this will be our first year of actually going back and touching the roads that we touched at the beginning of this process. Overall, we have, let me see, I added it up here somewhere. I think we have done 100 and, oh, here we go. With the road schedule this year, we will be at about 146 miles of roads in the road program, either chip sealed, fog sealed, rubberized chip seal, or paved. So
146 miles.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's only like another 50.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we are going to start we just looked at Littlefield. That was one of the first ones you did. It is showing wear, so that will be chip sealed. That'll be our first road that we're starting, the second iteration. Again, so the idea is to go every 7 or 8 years. So in 20 years, you'll start repaving roads so it's a 20-year life cycle.
Before you came here, that was going on every 3 years.
Yeah.
Every 3 years. I mean, if this isn't overall another example of how leadership matters, I got no answers from your predecessor, and every time I put it to him and his team, they never really could answer the question of why their roads were failing every 3 years. And you guys have done an amazing job, and this is about leadership and bringing the guy and morale and education and everything you guys have done in this department with all of your team. It's absolutely astonishing, the difference from when I first sat in this seat to today.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you for everything you guys have done.
The difference between the chip seal, actually, you answered part of my question already, on how long the road's taken to do that. So you're doing, if I understand you correctly, a little bit more than 80 miles a road a year?
We are doing, this year we'll be doing paving, which will be either mill and pave or reclaim. We'll do about 8 to 8.5 miles, and then the rest will be rubberized chip seal or chip seal. And then that's just what we're doing. That's not accounting for what Mike does in touch-ups and things like that. So it's about anywhere between, you know, I think we've done 25 one year. It's somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, the budget has been very consistent. We work with Greg Ossipow. We met with the bond council. I think they said that our plan was one. The only thing they asked us to make sure we spent the money that we bonded last year by July 1st this year, which we're doing. We got it all set.
That is
So-
it. The other thing.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Now, we also have scenic roads.
Yep.
In this town. How much maintenance do they require, or are you doing any, you know?
They take a lot. Because they're mostly gravel roads, you know, I think, as I said earlier, we've already used 3 times as much gravel this year as normal. So they take a tremendous amount of upkeep. This town maintains, what, two graders, right? And we actually rented a third one at one point this year, trying to keep up. I've had the great fortune of working with the 2 towns in the state, I think, have the most dirt roads, here in Litchfield. And I'll be honest, in Litchfield, I actually tried to pave a couple, and they told me they're going to sue me. So you don't pave dirt roads.
So, does the weather, the wetness we have coming really affect the scenic roads?
They did. It did this year. We've been meeting with residents. In fact, we have 2 scenic road committees going right now, responding to the residents on East Buck Rock and then Hind Road because of the amount of erosion and problems with the road. So we're actually going to go back and we're redesigning those areas, and we're going to change those to try to minimize the amount of erosion we're getting off of those roads. Yeah. So it does well, you know, but you know, there's also the scenic road ordinance, and we need to make sure that we follow it.
Paul?
Well, with the scenic roads you have, every time it rains, obviously you're out there regrading.
Yeah.
People don't understand it's costing the town a lot of money every time those crews go back out and do it. But I want to go back to the chip sealing. Prior to you coming on board, I had my road chip sealed. It was like they threw chocolate milk down and some sand on it, and it was shot probably about 3 months later. And what we're doing now with chip sealing, it's almost like the road's repaved. It's unbelievable. It's wearing out my plow on my tractor, but hopefully this stuff will finally ground in. I'm out there before you guys are. But yeah, people don't understand that the scenic roads, you know, they're beautiful to be a dirt road, but every time it's raining, social media is lit up last night on Stilson Hill. They're all complaining up on Stilson Hill. So is there a process of a different type of gravel that can be used, a shale, or rather than like item 4?
The scenic roads have, the scenic road ordinance allows us to use a 3/4, they call it a surface gravel. It's not that sturdy of gravel, so we put 1.25 on the regular gravel roads, and it stays much better. You know, compaction, a little magnesium, calcium chloride after the compaction to you know, bond everything together, and they'll stay.
Good.
But with the 3/4 that we're allowed to use on the roads, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that. It's mostly sand, so it washes away
It's
easy.
costing the taxpayers a lot of money to keep going back up there.
We've been through about 8,000 tons this year. We normally, on a normal year, maybe go back 3 years, we go maybe 4,000 a year tons, 4,000. So we're over double.
Yeah.
And we're not even, you know, we've still got a few months left and a rainy season coming. So.
One of my concerns with that, Paul, is, and I've got a couple residents who have actually talked to me about it, is the gravel goes somewhere. And in some cases, it goes to people's properties. And we're talking to them about their property because there's this, well, first, I told them I'm not going to charge them for the gravel we left there, but kidding aside.
It's filling up catch basins.
Yeah, it's catch basins, it's wetlands, and people's property. So we're trying to work with our residents and see how we can change that. And you know, there are different types of gravel. We've moved away from the local O&G gravel because it breaks down faster.
Exactly.
I know Mike's been trucking in some from another quarry. I was trying to get, there's a company out of Torrington, Mountaintop Trucking. His gravel, we've used that in Litchfield. It's angular. It comes from the quarry. If you're familiar with the Lowe's up in Torrington off Route 8, that's the quarry it comes from. It's angular. Unfortunately, just the transportation cost from going to there to here makes it so it's not competitive. But we're looking at other ways of trying to minimize the amount of gravel that goes off and gets into the wetlands. So,
Good.
we also support the Riverfront Committee and the River Trail Committee, where we help them with different things. I don't know what else. I mean, I think I've hit the highlights. I don't want to.
Any, Walter?
Jack, I love the mysterious angel by the
Oh.
9/11 Memorial. Love
Yeah.
it. Comment.
I lost a few years with that.
That's a strange one. That's a different thing, but it's there, and I guess it'll stay until we're told to move it off.
Yep, stay for a little bit. Mayor?
Thank you. I was gonna ask a long time ago, how many generators do you guys maintain? And are they gasoline, or are they diesel, or what?
That's a mix. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I could, if I think about it, we have, let's see, radio towers. We have Kent and Gailersville. Excuse me, Gailersville. We have the high school, which is a radio tower as well that we maintain. We have Geiger. That's a third one. ONG is a small. Most of them are gas or propane. Yeah.
The
And
gasoline-
that's the most efficient.
The gasoline,
Not gasoline, natural gas.
okay, that's all I
Yes.
want to know.
Yeah,
Maintenance,
yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And then there's the buildings like, we have 47 Bridge Street has one, we have the senior center, obviously the police department, and Public Works has two. We just purchased a new one. The Max has one as well. So, yeah, the majority of our buildings, so, yeah, we have quite a few generators in town. And we have two portables down in case, when we did the COVID vaccine room down at JPCC, we incorporated a portable generator system so that we could plug in to the side of the building, and it would operate emergency power just to the library down at Pettibone. So that, because the COVID vaccines can't be without refrigeration, you know, for a certain amount of time. So we actually, it's pretty, it's, you know, it's, if we lose power, it actually goes back to the United Alarm, and they call us and they say, there's been a interruption in power, and we have to run down there and manually plug the generator in, but
but all the other ones are
all the other ones are.
automatic.
Yes, automatic, yes.
Did you mention the
Yeah, the police department, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, there's quite a few.
While I got you,
Yes, sir.
can you get a work order from the mayor?
We talked, no,
Yeah.
no, should we
Yeah,
call
Justin.
the dude?
Okay,
What is it, click dude or
Yeah.
fix dude?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pat's putting
Will
it
do.
in there.
Yeah, it's not the right time.
One of the things we're talking with the mayor about is something I used to do when I was with the Ingersoll Rand Torrington Company. I would put what we call pigtails on these buildings, and we would set something up with a tower generator, and in case of a power outage where we couldn't support, like the town hall, we don't have a generator. And do we buy a generator? We just put a pigtail outside and set up something with tower where, if it powers to go down to the town hall, within 2 hours they provide us with a generator. They come in, they plug it in, and off you run, and it runs until. So instead of having a generator sitting here, you just simply got to plug in, and we have a service that comes down and engages it and makes sure that we have power here. So we're looking at doing that. I've talked to Chief Ceruto. I know he has a generator. I told him I was designing one for there, and he was very happy because he'd like to have belts and suspenders.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jack and the DPW team? Alex?
She's done a great job.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And on more than one occasion, and I always wave to your drivers. Most of them wave back. Might be you guys.
My wife calls me the mayor because I'm one that waves back. I always wave back.
That's it then, okay. But I think the question is for you, Mr. Mayor, with regard to the Century Brass project and the fact that you took money out. Your recommendation was to take money out. Can you explain where we're at with all of that?
Jack, can you talk a little bit about Century Brass?
Yeah, we have a layout. We engaged WMC. I think it was last year. We sent out a RFP for them. We plan to be before Inland Wetlands in a couple weeks with a site plan including all the drainage. I've been working with EPA and DEP because, as you know, the site was a contaminated site, and they have requirements. So I've been talking to them, and they said they would work with us to make that a carbon neutral design over there. My background's environmental engineering, and to me, it's exciting to do this. So I'm very excited. When I was at Ingersoll Rand Torrey Company, I was in charge of ISO 14000. I've written papers on pollution prevention and sustainable manufacturing. So when the mayor gave me a chance to look at that, I was looking at doing the same thing at Century Brass. I've talked to them about it. We're looking at solar panels, looking at battery storage there. We're looking at being able to take the old Century Brass footprint, the concrete, instead of digging up and removing it and doing anything, we can simply cap it. And we've got a design for capping it, and we can place solar panels or batteries. We've been talking to different vendors, depending on what's the best for the town to do that. We'll look at putting solar panels on all the buildings. We've talked to Eversource about the capacity issues on the electrical lines in the area, so we're moving in that direction. The site plan will be before inland wetlands. I think we're going to submit it either next week or the following week.
And I think to answer your financial question, if you look at this year's numbers, 150,000 was put in for this year and approved. We still have, I believe, $70,000 or $80,000 now, so that's going to help supplant those costs for next year.
I wasn't following the pattern there, so, okay,
And-
thank you.
And we meet every Wednesday, our team, Dave, Chuck, Mike, and Jason's been working on it too. We meet, we've put together a program so that now we can, if somebody sat down and said, okay, what do you need? We've got a program, so it tells you how many offices, what size, where the print room's gonna be, how the trucks are gonna be stored. The plan is to put make the floor so that it's a radiant floor heating. It's better, if you talk to, I worked with the town of Harwington on theirs several years ago. And Dave Fortin, who had worked here temporarily, was on that one. I worked with Dave to get radiant heating over there. We'll put radiant heating in so it'll dry the trucks and keep the trucks in much better condition. We plan on putting tool benches next to the trucks to encourage maintenance of the vehicles. We're actually putting in a lift, which will be able to lift a fully loaded truck or fire truck. We've gone to several different locations looking at theirs, and we're trying to mimic the one in Connecticut. What's the?
Waterford.
Waterford. Oh, it's an ONG building. It's a little bit smaller than we need, so all we're doing is like taking it, blowing some air into it, and blowing the walls out, and we're copying that design.
So you'll have a lift to pick up?
100,000 pounds.
Yeah, good, good.
Any other questions for the DPW team?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Jack, thank you.
So much,
Mike.
all of you.
Good night.
Chuck,
Have a good night.
Dave, thank you for everybody. Thank you.
Of course, we couldn't see
Okay,
Jason over there.
Walter.
Public comment?
Do we have anybody from, oh, I'm sorry, Alex.
Next week, when we're kind of wrap up and add it, and most of the departments told us how many employees, how much each employee was making, et cetera. The library didn't break theirs down. Could we have that?
You asked me that, I'm getting that from Kathy.
So
You'd
we'll do it
email me
then?
that. I'm hoping to have it for you tomorrow or Monday, because
Okay.
it's Tuesday, so I'm just waiting for that to come in, and I'll send it to everybody.
Okay, great.
So Walter,
Okay,
Bye, Dad.
motion to recess and Board of Finance till tomorrow evening at 7.
Town Council, motion to recess until tomorrow, 7 p.m. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And thank you for those that were watching tonight.
Kate? Kate?